All right, everybody, welcome to the Power of Our Story, Coffee and Conversation. Today, we have two guests. Really excited about this. We had a fantastic coffee the other day, and their story is powerful and intriguing. So it is guest Jason Tuschen, otherwise known as Tusch. He served in the military for 27 years. He is a retired SEAL, Command Master Chief. That always takes me a while to make sure I get the right order. And he is now he's the CEO of Scilabs. He is a proud father and husband. He has two kids, and he says that's really his greatest accomplishment. And then we have Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker, otherwise known as codename Johnny Walker. That's the name of his fascinating book. Love the book. Johnny is a SUNI from Mosul, Iraq. He was the interpreter, worked his way up to the SEALs, and then the SEALs would never let him go after they got a hold of Johnny Walker. He is the only Terp that was awarded a Trident. Their story together is fascinating, and I'm so honored to have you both. So thank you so much for coming on. Greatly appreciate that. And then we'll have some question and answers afterward. Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks a ton, Sarah, and great meeting everybody here, and I appreciate you taking the time. So to kick it off, it's different doing this on Zoom. So usually Johnny and I are bebopping around the stage, and so this is a unique environment. So it's kind of cool. So Operation Iraqi Freedom, maybe outside of the kind of the crazy events we've seen in the country over the last couple of years, it was arguably the most divisive issue in the country since the Vietnam War. I distinctly remember the 2004. I think it was Republican convention, and just hundreds of thousands of people protesting it. And it was interesting and divisive war. But, the men and women that served there, as well as their families and all the Iraqis, paid a heavy price, both physically and psychologically. And, parents lost children, husbands and wives lost their spouses, children lost their parents, people lost their friends, livelihoods were destroyed. And one question that I've been asked many times by others, particularly when I came back, was, hey, was it worth it? While deployed to Iraq, the answer to that question changed almost daily. When suicide bombers would detonate themselves in a crowded marketplace, killing innocent Iraqis who happened to worship a different way than they did, the answer would be no. When we had captured an entire Al-Qaeda cell responsible for training and equipping suicide bombers, the answer would be yes. When an IED would detonate, killing not only American soldiers, but a mother and her two children who happened to be walking by when the IED went off, no. But when our snipers would kill a fighter and place an IED, it was yes. Without this war or any other, these kind of situations really never materialize or present themselves. War is really only worth it to those who don't have to fight in it or live with the consequences, or those who stand to profit from it. That said, and it's unfortunate, but there's still people out there who are evil beyond measure or redemption. They will stop at nothing to impose on others whatever twisted vision of the world they have. And no amount of turning the other cheek and just sitting down and talking out our differences or a peaceful negotiation are going to stop them. Only violence will. I think the better question to ask, people who served, the men and women who served, and all the citizens who are caught in the middle of it, is if any good came out of war. All the Iraqis and all the servicemen and women, as well as their families, that's a personal, individualized answer, and each one's going to be different. For me, the answer is, did any good come from it, was a resounding yes. And it's because of this story. This story is about good coming out of a really evil environment. It's about perseverance and patience, as you'll listen here. And then, but it's really about judging people based on their character and their actions. And, so this is, Johnny's in my story. So Johnny, I'm gonna turn it over to you and explain, life for you briefly in Mosul, and then how you ended up with NSW and the SEAL teams.
So thank you guys for the opportunity to be with amazing people. And by the way, David Perez in New Jersey, my daughter, she's married there. So maybe I will need you to kick ass her husband if we have to. So anyway, back in the days in Iraq, there is no life. As you can tell in Middle East right now, the government, all what they do whatever benefit their pocket and their family. So anyway, long story short, it's miserable life. There is no life. I born and raised in Mosul, 1964. I'm tall guy, like 192 centimeters. And in my country, I'm giant. And since I am teenager, I love my slingshot, attacking another neighbor, do some trouble, all this kind of things. So anyway, my family, they reached to the point we can find solution to this guy, or we can end up with kicking out of the area. So they sent me with my cousin to play basketball. I have no idea. I went with no sandals, with crazy look, with my slingshot in my neck. I went to the club and I started finding myself through the basketball. And every day it's became my only main things in my life, basketball. And as you guys know, basketball is not only game, it's representing American dream. And if you are interested in that, you have to follow the chain. So the next step of my chain after the basketball is John Wayne cowboy movie. And it's everywhere in my city in Mosul in cinema. We don't have computer and internet in that time or Netflix, thank God. So anyway, and after that, you have to listen to Connie Roger. Lady, there's so many ways I want to say is I love you. And this is for my beautiful wife, by the way. So anyway, so all this kind of chain building in my life, changing my whole destiny and building a small dream, which is one day I will be in the United States. If this is the last day in my life, I'm gonna sit in a small wood house on the front of the lake and live mountain living condition. And I just wanna, before I complete my part, I just wanna answer part of the question if it's worth it or not. I mean, thank you so much for all what you guys did to me. You saved me this and that, but it's not only Johnny on that piece, it's American dream. Through my story, I'm getting lucky to be the part of the American dream. So anyway, so back to my story. In 2003, American forces came to my city and everyone happy because no one likes Saddam. Everyone want to have the new life, American freedom, live with no pressure, this and that. And I saw the American soldier, they came to our neighbor with gear and body armor. It looks like those people, they came from space or moon or something. It's so crazy, beautiful feeling that you saw your dream come to you instead of you go to them. And I pay nothing, it's free. Every day I wake up in the morning and they are in my neighbor. So anyway, I try so hard to find job with them because it's good paid money. And that time I live in a small apartment, 2 room, me, my wife, 3 kids, 4 kids, my brother, his wife, and 3 kids, my mom and my dad, and my other brother. All of us, we live in this small apartment. So we barely survive because there's no job. So anyway, I try so hard. Finally, I decided to stop looking for a job because I end up with a lot of trouble. And one night I'm sitting drinking like local Scotch whiskey, cheap. We bought it not in the bottle, we bought it in the bags. And I think is a lot of a drug on it because soon you drink the first cup, you will be somewhere. So anyway, and at that time, everyone talk about something except me. I'm thinking about the 50 cent in my pocket, which is nothing for million people, but for me in that time is my only fortune I have in the earth. It's like what I'm gonna do with it. I'm gonna pay for taxi because I live 7 miles away, and I'm kind of also from the whiskey. Or I'm gonna buy smoke. I smoke like there is no tomorrow. Or I have to keep it to give it to my kids in the morning. I know some of you can say, oh, it's only 50 cents, it's not worth it to waste the time, but for me, it's part of my life and it's only things I care in that moment. So I'm walking back and this looks like I'm just gonna walk and make the decision. So I'm walking and I hear like three ladies, they talk shit about American soldier occupied the building, they live on it. And this look like awesome, that's what I need. And include the issue I have right now, and I'm facing the 50 cent right now. I have to protect the Iraqi women because this is our culture and your guys' culture too, to protect women if someone insult them. And I know the American forces, if I did something with them, maybe they can kill me, they can shoot me, and I end up with killing. So I accelerate my issue from 50 cent to live and die. So anyway, I'm thinking it's like, okay, I'm gonna go fast, walking fast, and talk with the sergeant. Maybe he let me finish the issue and make everyone come down. So I'm walking. I went to the chief, and guys, someone offer his service for free. Of course, go ahead, do it. So I told Sergeant Baird, hey, can I fix the issue? He says, yeah, go ahead. So I look at to the ladies, those ladies being fraud. I know them because it's dark. I didn't know them when they talk. But when I saw them in the white light, I know them. They being fraud in a lot of cases, and they deserve no respect in the neighbor. So it looked like, you know what, you know how I am. They said, yeah, we know you, kind of trouble guy. I told them, hey, move back, and I don't want to see you anymore. So I push him back, and just looked like I saw the breeze. I'm saved my life finally. And I kept my 50 cent in my pocket. So win-win. And while I'm talking with Sergeant Bird, he thanked me for what I did. And he asked me what I did. And basically in that time, I have no language to describe or to translate what I told them, how I fixed the issue. One guy, he came, random guy, and he started talking shit about the linguist. So he thought I am linguist. I work with American forces, and he started talking bad word about my father, my mother, my family. So I did nothing. I just beat the shit out of him. And Sergeant Bird, I think he liked me from that time. And he told me, hey, you want to work with us? It's like, I look at him, it's like, shit, my 50 cent, they can be happy. It's like, fuck yeah, I would love to work with you. So I went to the gas station and I started with working with military police. So, Jason.
How'd you end up working with the, so you're working with the military police, how'd you end up with naval, the SEALs?
So I did, they call the crazy things while working with military police. I call it normal things because right now I am in San Diego. If you tell me where's the thugs, I can take you right now. Where is drug people, I can take you right now. Where's good people? So it's my city, I know the rules. So they want some fun, some thugs. At that time, there's no insurgent. So I took them to a lot of places. We did a lot of things. We went to granary. We stopped people stealing from the granary. And we took the pickup of the people, headed on the hall. So we did crazy things. And one of the sergeants, his name East, he says, Johnny, I think I have better opportunity to you. It's like, oh, okay. It's gonna raise my salary. That time they pay me 100. He says, I think it's better than the salary. I'm going to let you work with the SEAL. And he told me that, and he turned around. And at that time, we don't have cell phone to translate what the SEALs mean or anything. Okay, SEAL should be good, something good. Okay, sound good. So next week, he took me to the SEAL compound, weird compound, and I met JT, God bless him, he died a couple of years ago, JT Freeze. And we sit in the pickup Tacoma, and we chit chat. I thought we chit chat, but after like 5 minutes, I said nothing because I understand nothing from what he's saying, from what he talking. My English is so bad, and I just want to like save myself from embarrassing, just listening and wave my head. And I think you guys know that a lot of time when you talk with people from Middle East, they just move his head. I understand. You tell him, what is it? He says, good. So anyway, so I told him, okay, did I get the job or not? He says, indeed. Like, okay, thank you. And I left. I have no idea what does indeed mean. I'm walking and they don't have, again, cell phone to find indeed what does indeed mean. Or I cannot carry big ass dictionary in my hand. So I'm walking to the military compound and I saw all the guys, they waiting me. It looked like standby. What's up, Johnny? Did you get the job? I look at them, indeed. And I saw all of them. They are so happy and laughing. Fuck yeah, yes, this and that. Is like, shit, I get the job. Indeed, it's been good.
Yeah. So what that really boils down to, and I think it's in the book, but Johnny was basically too crazy for the military police, so they sent him over to the SEALs. You know, thank goodness they did. So in 2005, I ended up April 2005. I ended up deploying to Baghdad, and I was a senior enlisted advisor leader for a 80-person task unit. We were basically charged with hunting down, capturing, killing Al Qaeda. And included in this group were a handful of interpreters, and all of them were expats from the Middle East, whom at some point in time had emigrated to the United States. And honestly, each and every one of them had some pretty remarkable American dream stories that, honestly, in their own right, could have been put into print. One was a Kurdish guy whose village was gassed. He grabbed up his kids. His wife walked 50 kilometers in the snow to Turkey, spent 2 years in a refugee camp, and ended up in Washington, D.C. Another guy was a Shia who, after the first Gulf War, was in the uprising in the southern Iraq. His village, a lot of people were murdered by Saddam's forces. He fled, spent 4 years in Saudi Arabia, and then ended up here in San Diego, thinking he was in Detroit. And so there's some really fascinating stories, but they're all guys who had, in their families, who had made it to the States. Within this group, though, there was one notable exception, and it was an interpreter named Riyadh, Johnny Walker here. And he got that nickname due to his former love and passion for the Scotch. So Johnny, he was, like I said, he's a Sunni from Mosul, and he was married to a Shia gal from Mosul as well, Beta. And they had 4 kids. And at this point, Johnny had been working with us, the SEAL teams, NSW, for about a year or so when I first met him. And he already had developed a strong reputation. And as I got to know him, it was amazing. He proved immediately to be an absolutely invaluable part of the team. His intuition on targets, his ability to, ferret out the bad guy, as well as his compassion for the women and kids and any innocent on target, along with his valor in the face of hostilities, really played a key role, if not the key role, to a lot of the success we had. But this dedication came with a pretty high price tag. Because of Johnny's support for us in the US, he and his family became targets. His brother was drug out in the middle of the street on his Mosul neighborhood and publicly executed by Al Qaeda. Johnny's wife and kids were who had remained in Mosul while Johnny's down working with us in Baghdad, were forced into hiding, and there's really no life to live for a family. But yet, with all this horror going on in JW's life, he unflinchingly supported us night after night after night. And I personally, I marveled at his ability to compartmentalize what, in my opinion, must have been unimaginable stress. And it also, I began to worry about him and his family, and wishing there was a way that I could help them. So, Johnny, talk about what life, what was happening at home with Beta and the kids while you were down in Baghdad working, and what kind of danger were they facing?
So at the beginning, 2003, like anyone work with Iraqi army or Iraqi government in my area, the SUNI area, which is the mother load of all the terrorist organization, is big, proud. Or if you work with American, this is big, awesome deal. But everything is switched in 2005, and any work with the government, they want to kill him. So imagine if anyone work with American, it's going to be big trader, piece of shit, whatever name they can call it, infidel, to the blah, 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 end of the bad description. So anyway, they tried to kill me one time, and I'm driving my car to the airport in 2004, and long story short, I saw a car follow me, and she trained me, hey, be careful better than be stupid. Just take the worst case scenario and think about anyone have red flag, he's your enemy. So keeping this in my mind, one car behind me, red flag on it, and I bluff him, I took right hard and I pushed the gas, and he came and they passed my car. Soon they passed my car. I pushed the brake, confused them, and they saw the pistol 9mm came out from the window, and they shot me around. And thank God they came to the middle between the two windows. So I stopped completely my car. I have AK-47 75 magazine, and I shoot the driver first, kill him, finish him, and I killed the second one because I want to kill them so bad. Those people, they want to take my life away, and maybe they are taking my family life right now. So I don't want to leave anyone fucking alive. So I killed the driver, so there's no way to run away. And I went there, walk in and shoot the other guys, kill both of them, open the hood, and disconnect the carburetor, the gas line, and burn the car. And people, they start gathering, and they ask, what's going on? I told them, those people, they work with Americans, Allahu Akbar. And everyone, awesome, good job, buddy. And I left my IDs there just for, in case if the make report. So the intelligent, the Qaeda intelligent report, they can read my name. I am the one who's being killed. So anyway, I head back home. I told him this and that, and we survived from this action. So the answer on your question, we facing death in every step we take in to anywhere, and is not good things to have this foundation inside yourself to finish other people's life just because the environment you live on it. So Beta and the kids, they have no life, nothing. My mom, my brothers, I hook them up with job with Iraqi army just to transport bread to them. Driver, they ambush him, stop him without give him any chance to defend himself. 3 of them covered. They shoot him, and the people, when they saw that, they told me, your brother, he's brave. He told them, hey, if anyone, he's real man, let's fight one by one, by hand. Or you guys with weapon and leave me one weapon with me. They don't let him. They shot him 3 shots in his face, and he's in better place. But there's no life. There is only death in the front of us everywhere we go. So hopefully I answered the question.
Yeah, it's heavy. So I mean, Johnny, you know, when he's not working for us, which is dangerous in and of itself, this is the life he has, you know, off duty, which is it was insane to me. So about the same time, I caught wind of a House of Representatives resolution that allowed for a finite number of visas that granted a special immigrant status to Iraqi and Afghani citizens whose lives are in danger, you know, due to their helping the U.S. And Johnny certainly fit the bill. So we were on our base at our camp in Baghdad, and I was running around and I tracked Johnny down, and I asked him if I asked him, hey, is leaving Iraq and coming to the U.S. something that he wanted me to pursue? And I'll never forget, he looked at me and he was like almost offended, and he's like, brother, this is my country. And he kind of explained that he wanted to stay here and see Iraq become a vibrant democracy. He wanted to see an American version of Iraq. And I knew he was going to say that. And I completely admired his patriotism and dedication to Iraq. If there was 10,000 more Johnny Walkers in the country, then our involvement in Iraq would have been short-lived. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And his answer, you know, it made me nervous. So, Johnny, why'd you say no?
So, I mean, if I read history and I look at it to the country, United States involved with them, which is Germany and Japan. Look at them; they lead the country with everything, and people, they have prosperity, everything, freedom. So this is my vision about my country. That's okay. One day after we kick all the bad guys, we can have a freedom and we can live in our country. And maybe I will visit United States as a visitor, but we pay enough of blood and I cannot leave the blood behind me right now. But everything changed, right? Your answer to your question. Yeah. When I went home and I saw my kids, right? Yeah. So they have no life. They cannot go to the school. They cannot go to the mall, candy shop next door. Basically, they have no life. And I'm just like thinking, okay, it's been like few years, every night mission fighting the bad guys. But in the same time, is my destiny, my duty to pay the price as a man in my country. But I have another responsibilities, which is my family. My family, they've been hunting. They go from every place to place every couple months, couple weeks. And Beda, my wife, and the kids, they face the death with fake checkpoint, almost being killed. So it looks like, okay, if I want to build right country, I have to start building my family. I have to find safe environment, freedom, democracy, place they can practice any religion they want without any pressure. They can express political opinion without anyone kill them. And this is where I went back to Steve Wozowski and I told him, bro, I'm done. I think I did my part and now is my family part. And I think this is when Steve connect you.
Yeah, so October 2005, actually is my anniversary when we're leaving. Yeah, my time in Iraq had come to a close, and the new SEAL team, Team 1 had come in to relieve us. We got them turned over up to speed, and then it was finally, you know, our time to depart. And so I'm standing on the tarmac at Baghdad International Airport. The C-17s behind me, loaded up with the team and all of our gear. And I'm standing there talking to J-Dub, and I'm looking at him, and in my mind, I'm wondering, like, man, you know, if I'm ever going to see him again, and or is his family even going to survive, or is he going to survive? And I wasn't really optimistic about the answer to either of those questions. So as we said our goodbyes, I told him that the offer to try to get to the States will always stand. And, and if you change your mind, hit me up. And he looked at me again. He's like, bro, this is my country. And I laughed and I gave him a hug. And then I told him at the very least, email me or text me, let me know you're okay. Give me a thumbs up once a week. And
do you remember what I told you? When you are about to leave, do you remember what I told you? I told you, can I go? You want me to leave all this action and go to there, and you're gonna go to your office, moving paper, from this table to this table, and just do admin things?
Yeah, fair enough. But with that, like I gave him a hug and I picked up my backpack, turned around, boarded walked up the ramp for the C-17, it buttoned up, taxied, and we left Iraq. So 3 months later, though, I'm back at home and I'm in the full swing of regular life in the States. A lot of paperwork, like Johnny said, and then work, serve, family. And Johnny and I, we touch base weekly, from time to time. But Iraq and Johnny seemed like both figuratively and literally a world away. And then that changed one night with the phone call I received. This is mid-January 2006. I'm standing in my kitchen, and phone rings, and I saw the phone number, and I looked down at it, and I immediately recognized it as one of the voice over internet protocol numbers that we used in Iraq, and my heart started racing. The only reason I would be getting a call at home from Iraq would be because somebody close to me was either seriously injured or killed. And this is going through my head as I'm making a beeline for the front door to get outside of the house and away from the kids. I didn't want them to see me, whatever emotional reaction I was going to have when I answered the phone and got the bad news. So I remember I'm standing outside in the front yard and answer the phone, and it's the commanding officer of SEAL Team 1, the guys that relieved us. And then my heart really sinks. It's having been in those leadership roles, it's the commanding officer, the command master chief that are the ones who deliver bad news. So I'm like, this is terrible. So I answer the phone. Hey Tusch, it's Captain X. Hey, things have gotten really bad for Johnny and his family. Can you work on getting him out of here? And I had a massive sigh of relief that's what the call was about. I actually, kind of chewed the commanding officer's ass a bit because he gave me a heart attack. But I said absolutely, and I hung up the phone, and then I just stood there numb for a second as the gravity of the situation hit me. I remember my wife coming out going, "Is everything okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, that was Johnny, and we need to get him out of Iraq." And so with that one phone call, the lives of 6 people I felt depended on me, and it was kind of overwhelming. I really had no idea where I was even going to begin with this process. So I started doing some research, and as luck would have it, I caught wind of a immigration attorney who did every Thursdays he would go over to the big Navy base at 32nd Street.
I love the story when you put the uniform.
Oh yeah. So well, here it is. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, cool. So there's an immigration attorney. I got a haircut, put a nice uniform on, which we try to avoid in the SEAL teams. It seems like too often, and I cruised over there with what little paperwork I had, and I started explaining the situation to him. And I was like, hey, this guy, Johnny Walker, here's his House of Representatives resolution. And I could see him getting more and more excited and leaning in. And, George Sabga, the lawyer, him being one of the most hardworking, kind-hearted individuals I've ever met, eagerly took on Johnny's case pro bono. And so I got there, I got done with him, and I'm like, okay, it's, mid-February, got the lawyer on it. Man, Johnny him and his family will be here in the States. By summer, we'll be barbecuing meat and drinking beer in the backyard. Not so much the case. I could go on for hours on the painstaking process that ensued. People always joke, rightly so, or complain about government bureaucracy, the DMV and whatnot. However, when lives are at stake, it's downright maddening, incredibly disheartening, and a feeling of utter helplessness. The path we took was filled with constant delays, endless paperwork, and frustration. The lawyer would give me some paperwork. I'd fill out as much as I could. I would, scan it, send it over to Iraq, to whatever SEAL team happened to be there, and they would help Johnny fill out the rest of the paperwork. They'd send it back in. We'd get it to the lawyer and send it up to Department of State or Homeland Security or whatever agency. We wouldn't hear anything for weeks. And then we get a message back saying, you didn't dot this I, you didn't cross this T, and we have to start the process over and over again. It took the efforts of dozens of people, hundreds of people, from SEAL leaders in key spots in DC, to some pretty high-ranking congressional staffers, to all the SEALs, operators, and support personnel on the ground in Iraq, just to keep things moving forward. And as this played out day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, I just had this sense of dread. It was just horrible. Every morning when I'd log into my computer at work, I kind of go like this, because I fully expected at any moment to get an email saying, hey, thanks for all your hard work, but Johnny, was killed last night. But really, thanks to the Herculean efforts of so many people from so many walks of life, that email never came. So fast forward now. So this process started in January of 2006. It's now June of 2009, and I'm literally at my wit's end with this process. It's adding a lot of stress. I'm drinking a little bit more than I probably should. I'm short with the family, and we had to be decisive and make some kind of decision. So one of the and we saw the writing on the wall that any given moment we could pull out of Iraq, and then what happens? So one of the guys overseas from the SEAL team that was over there, who was with me in 2005, he happened to be in a leadership role, and I hit him up. I'm like, hey, give me a call on your personal cell phone. So we weren't on a government line, and we concocted a plan to, hey, if by the end of your deployment, which would have been October of 2009, if we don't have resolution to Johnny's situation, we crafted a plan to sneak him out of the country. They were going to put Johnny and his family in a shipping container that we load up into the planes, give him some food and water, and cut some ventilation holes in there, and try to sneak him into the country. And we knew what the stakes were for doing that. I mean, it certainly would have spent a few years making big rocks into little rocks at one of the federal penitentiaries. But we felt it was better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission. Than ask for permission. I don't think I could live with myself if we didn't do everything in our power to get Johnny and his family out. And everybody felt that same way. So thank God that harebrained scheme never came to fruition, because a few days later, George, the lawyer, called me up and told me it was done. He said it was approved. Johnny and his family had been approved to enter the U.S. in a protected status. Now that should have been, initially it was a relief. It should have been much more so, but it actually made me even more nervous, because I know Johnny. And
make me more mad.
Yeah. So I got on the computer, told people the good news, and I hit the all caps and started typing like, do not let Johnny or his family out of your sight. Don't let Johnny go on one more mission, because I know he's going to talk you into it.
I thought the bright people would drink and sweet talk, bugging them, please, I want to go. I want to go.
I was like, no way is Johnny going on any more missions. Keep him locked down. But and it worked. And then things began to move really fast. And within a few weeks, there was plane tickets in hand, and the family was getting ready to exit Iraq. So Johnny, I'd like just walk through when you got the news, what that was like and that feeling, and then how the process, because you were arguably the most well-guarded human being ever to board an aircraft.
So yeah, it's been a long journey, and the worst part for me is the last few days or few weeks. I am in the compound, and the fucking team spoil me so bad. They collect money, they give me money. Johnny, go spend some time with the family. No, I want to stay here. I want to do my things. I'm leaving. At least I want to leave my signature with those motherfuckers, the bad guys. And they said, we love you, but this is not gonna happen. So anyway, one time, one of the team guy, he says, Johnny, ready for what? Mission? He says, no, you're going to America. Like, what? I know it's fact. I know Tuschen and all the guys, they will do whatever they can them to do it. But for me, it's like a dream. I will never believe it unless I am in the United States. So when he told me, it's like, I know it's the truth, but I don't feel it is reality. So I went back home. I told just my wife. I didn't want to tell my kids, because if I told my kids and they play, at that time we moved to Baghdad. If they tell another kids and everyone we know we live into United States, this is maybe it's gonna risk our life. So next day, our airplane, I think 10 o'clock in the morning or 11 o'clock in Baghdad airport. So we didn't sleep, me and Beda. We just like thinking, what's gonna happen, this and that. And by the way, we don't have any knowledge, any education about immigrant status when they go to United States, like welfare, like medic, finance. We have no idea, because we connect nobody because of our case. So anyway, 7 o'clock, we left our house with armored vehicles. Looked like I'm Trump, yeah, and arrived to the airport. No one checked us. We went there, and I look at to the airport. Most of them, they are Navy SEAL. They are my buddies with civilian clothes, and they, the SEALs, they walk so weird. When they walk and they watch something, you can tell they are so weird. And with all the tattoos and everywhere, Chris Freeze, everyone. And I told my wife, I told her, because I was concerned if we pass the custom, Iraqi custom, they figure out who I am. And my point is, I want to save my family. And how about if all the information I have, they can torture me, this information is going to go to Iraqi corrupt loyal government to Iran, is going to end up with Iran. And this is, I know Iran is going to be our enemy soon. And this is going to make big weakness in our forces. So this is my big concern. That's why we have all the people guarding me there. So anyway, we jump in the airplane, everything awesome. And at that time, there was like dust storm, small one, and getting bigger, bigger. And it's like, oh my God, whatever, help me, because my ticket is one way. I'm not gonna head back no matter what. I'm gonna do whatever just to do not go back to the same place, to Baghdad. So anyway, the airplane take off, and it's like a dream. It's like Hollywood movie. I look at down from the window, and I saw nothing, only storm dust underneath me. It's like, I'm not gonna go back to this fucking place again. I'm done. We land in Jordan, and next day they took us to the airport, and I remember I have all our gears, and I hide Johnny Walker bottle in the back. So anyway, we land in Chicago. We went to the hotel. They took us to the hotel, and first thing I did, I took Mustafa, my son, He's bigger than me now. I took him to Target. I have no idea what does Target mean. And I just want to feel I am normal. I can walk with my son because I never walk with my family or with my kids. Went to Target and buy a stupid t-shirt, 3X large. I never wear it. And I head back and I have that freedom. Yeah, it's a small thing to walk with your son for you, but for other people who is not having this gift, this is one of my dreams. That's why my dream is so simple and so small. And from that time, chapter 2 of my journey started, brother. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had been envisioning sitting at San Diego airport, watching Johnny and getting to meet his family for the first time.
With all the SEALs, with uniforms.
Yeah, like I couldn't wait for that moment. And unfortunately for me, when that time frame was coming, I was out at Fort Irwin in Nevada or California. We were conducting a lengthy final training exercise before redeploying to Iraq. And so while I was out there, the day finally arrived for Johnny and his family to land in San Diego. And I told her, remember this day, I was a nervous wreck. I'm pacing around our makeshift headquarters building, with my cell phone in hand, waiting for the confirmation of their arrival. It was, I felt like like a 1950s dad pacing outside the delivery room with a box of cigars, to get the good news that you're a parent. And finally around, it was probably like 9:30 or 10 in the morning on July 9th, 2009, I hear a ping on my phone, flip phone. So I flip it open and it's from George, the lawyer, and it just says, "Hey, they made it. We have them with us safe and sound." And God, I just remember reading those words over and over again, and then just hung my head down a bit, and I just teared up, man. I felt like the weight of the world had been lifted off my shoulders. So I was out there for another week or so, but burned in my memory is finally linking up with Johnny and his family a few weeks later. I'm standing on my lawn, waiting for him to show up, and I'm bebopping around like a kid at Christmas. And his car pulls up, and this gigantic Iraqi, casually opens the door and casually strolled over to me, like, the Iraqi John Wayne with this big mustache. But I honestly never thought I would see that day become a reality. And I never thought, I'd have the opportunity to, sit here in front of you guys with, Johnny 3 feet from me, being able to tell this story. So circle back to the original question, if it was worth it. Only a psychopath or someone with no skin in the game wants war, but good's going to come out of any terrible situation, and war is no exception. Because of this war, Johnny and his family, whom I love like my own, now live here in the States. They are safe, they're free, they live in peace. Johnny and Beta just welcomed their first grandchild into the world as the first generation American. And for me, that made it all worth it. So this story, for a variety of reasons, very personal to me. In my opinion, it is the ultimate American dream story. And second, it shows that helping the underdog, helping those less fortunate or who are struggling, helping those you can help is really is the best way, or one of the best ways to affect, things for the positive. It's the easiest way to make some small part of the world better. I think most importantly, though, this story is important because it highlights just something that's lacking in this day and age, and even more so over the last couple of years. If we truly want to have peace and civility in the world, we need to judge people by the quality of their character and the quality of their actions. Instead, we have this just asinine need to segregate people into different categories based on race or religion or gender, sexual orientation, how much, what's your net worth, what's your education, what are your political views. And as a result of that, instead of judging people based on things that matter, like character and actions, we stereotype everyone based on whatever artificial group we've lumped them into. And to me, this story shows just how ignorant doing that is. Johnny is a Sunni from Mosul. Mosul is arguably one of the more Al-Qaeda friendly places in the world. His wife is Shia. The Shia and the Sunni have in various degrees been at odds with each other since the late 600s, arguing over who the successor to the Prophet Muhammad was. Myself, I'm fairly agnostic. Many of the SEALs and others that helped they were Christians or Jews or black and white or Asian or Hispanic. And the thing is, not one of us cared about any of that. We cared about Johnny and we cared about his family because they earned that love and respect. And to me, that is the road to, to peace and civility in the world. So Johnny, I'll turn it over to you for final words and final thoughts.
So as Tuschen mentioned, and from my understanding, his message is from inside to outside. So my message now is going to be from outside to inside. So my message to American people, and just think wisely about what's going on right now in politics and in all the levels. No matter what, if you are right or wrong, if you have solid, legit opinion, it's not big deal. We are in one boat. If we are not gonna forgive, love, listen to each other, the boat is gonna be sink, and you're gonna die with your solid opinion. So don't waste the nation by hate. This nation built with million sacrifice from people all over. People, I saw them with us today, and thanks for each one of them for service. Don't waste those people tears and blood, and give yourself a humanity window inside your heart. So thank you, guys.
Yeah, with that, I mean, that love to hear questions or concern or anything you got for us if we have time for it.
Oh yeah. Listen, I just want to thank you both so much. That was powerful. Again, Johnny, I hear that so often from people who have immigrated here. I mean, from all over the world, that we have to understand that we are from we are in the same boat, that divisions, nobody wins. And I love both of your message. It's loved having coffee with you both, with Pam. I could have asked you questions for 10 hours. So again, thank you so much for coming on. Let's open it up to some questions. I'm sure there's going to be many here. We also need like a little time to absorb everything. I think there's always like this little space like, wow, okay, that was really great. And, so.
I have a quick question, Sarah.
Go for it, John.
Number one, first, Jason and Johnny, thank you so much. That was one of the best stories I've heard in a long time. And it's like an unbelievable story in itself. A true American story. That's why all of us raised our hand and made that oath, right? To uphold that Constitution, to give that life and liberty in pursuit of happiness. That's the whole point. Whether I agree with you or not, I agree that you got the right to do it. But beyond that, what I think is incredible is how not only is the story amazing, but the timing of the story and what's happening right now. So my question, and you guys have lived it, right? So you guys have lived it already. And there's a general that I happen to be friendly with who's very fighting this a lot, and he's a high-powered guy, and he's having a hard time Just like you said, you had a hard time, but this guy's really up there, and he can't even get visas for Terps out of Afghanistan. What are your recommendations? How does Lance Corporal out of the Marine Corps, well, my wife reminds me now, over 20 years, because I'm getting old, but how do I help, right? Like, how do I help the cause of getting the Terps out? Because the high profile, these officers, these West Point guys, they have the galas. How do I help? How do I help get you guys out? That's my question.
Yeah, and it's a really challenging one because of the massive bureaucracy. But I think the more people that know about each individual case and hear the story, they want to help. Like where we had log jams perpetually in the process. So we had, if you got people who are connected, and then they can, you use a network. So we had a couple junior officers or mid-level officers who were doing a 2-year tour at the House and Senate Armed Service Committee, and they knew the story. I talked to them. Well, they in turn knew how to reach out to high-ranking congressional staffers who could get in the ear of a congressman or woman and plant the seed. And then on the other hand, people within the administration, we get word, if you can get word to them, and then they can champion the cause. And it's really a Herculean task, man, because it's we're so distracted by 20-second memes, and you hear a story, you go, oh, that's moved me, and then there's no follow through on it. They feel good about themselves, but if you can, using a network and that general's network and pressing it from, you really almost have to have, things tend to move and get unstuck when it's either somebody higher in the administration or it's congressmen and women. And they tend to, there's enough veterans of both parties in the House and Senate that they get it. And if you can get an audience with them, or use rank in the bully pulpit to try to get those audiences, that's how we ended up unsticking things up from time to time. In the absence of that, it's getting the story out there as much as you can. I mean, I have my issues with social media, but there's so much good stuff can come from it too. You get people will jump on a cause and they can see it, and even just people reposting, hey, this interpreter is stuck in Afghanistan, and get the narrative and the message out. But you have to be careful that's not putting their lives in danger either, because it's you can get the internet anywhere on earth. So and bad guys have it too. But it's the more people that know, I feel the more you're going to find somebody who has the means to help you, not just the desire.
Right. So the best thing we can do is press. I mean, I have you just brought, that's another story. I know a few congressmen that are veterans that I'm going to call Monday morning. They'll shoot me in the head if I call them today. But Monday morning, I'm going to call them and talk to them and tell them that, and maybe we can try to get a lot of signatures together, and I'll present it to the congressman that I know. One is a veteran, and he'll get it right away. But then second stage, I think, I guess, so just so I'm clear, the best thing that we can do is to spread the word. Because I mean, right now, when we pull out the Taliban, they're gonna kill everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be like, there's not gonna be a chance for you to escape. Like, these guys are in the Stone Age, and the second we leave, they're coming, and we gotta act quick. And if we don't, I mean, I don't have to speak anymore, So your suggestion is pressure, whatever political means you have, and then otherwise get out there and just get the story out to people.
I can help with that second part. One of the things I can do is write an article with you guys. And it's important that both of you are part of anything I do, because I think what happens otherwise is that Terps get seen as the other, unfortunately. The power of this story is the brotherhood and the identity that you share. And people across America need to understand Terps that serve with us are us. This is about getting our people out. I think that's a disconnect. So what I'd like to do is bring you guys on for Veterans Voices and do a TV segment. And then I'll write up an article and see where I can place it. Either, Military Times or CNN, but Johnny, I have your contact information. Jason, I see yours here. So I'll reach out and we'll do some stuff. I'm happy to do my part and get the story out where I can.
Likewise, Johnny, Jason, if you guys can find me on LinkedIn, when I approach the people I know on Congress and Senate, your name's on. Johnny, when you said taking your son for a walk, I mean, I don't know if you saw, but I got my kids with me. I'm like tearing up, dude.
Yeah.
And so whatever I can do to help, man,
so
welcome to America. I'm so happy that your family's American. Congrats on the grandkids. It's a freaking brilliant story.
Yeah, I heard that. So one thing I want to add, it's not only to help our forces. There is like the ICTF. People, they fight shoulder to shoulder with our teams and our soldiers overseas. There is engineers, because as you know, in Middle East, anyone work with American forces, he deserves to cut his head. So Terp, engineer, soldier, anyone, this is one. Second thing I want to add it, we have to learn from our history. We left people behind in Vietnam. We don't want to do it in Afghanistan and Iraq, because this has hurt American dream reputation. If you think American dream reputation came through the rocket, the nuclear weapon we have, you are mistaken. The American dream came through the movie. The American dream came through the country song. The American dream came through the way of the life, how the American live. And the thing I saw it in the United States, they give a free dream to the people have no tomorrow, and they believe it. And that's why when we go to the mission, me and Jason and all the guys, always I have candies, I have toys with American flag, because this is how American changed me from not loyal to the American, but loyal to the right side against bad people. And I don't care if they are Muslim, Christian, whatever. Bad is bad. And this is what we need to show the world. American dream is still available if you believe it. And we as the people of this country, who is everything built on us, how we can fight for it. There is people somewhere right now, they hiding, him and his family, and they want to see the hope through your guys' eyes. I work with a few people. There is some organization, I don't want to mention the name in public. They use advantage from other people severing and they make money. American people. So maybe after the interview, we switch information, me, Tusch, you guys, and find the best to protect the American dream. That's it. Thank you.
We can definitely hang on if people want to, collect information. There's Tusch and Johnny, there's some great voices on this call right now. And again, I think what has been so cool with the people that have been on these calls is these are people that are very proactive in really helping visions bigger than themselves. And so I'm very grateful that you're all here. And I'm not ending it. I just want to put that in too, to back up what Johnny just said. I think people act on what they're hearing. So your voices are they're not only powerful, your stories are not only powerful, but I think again, it is very important to get this story out to mainstream. So thank you, Doc Springer, also for moving it forward.
Oh, for sure. I actually have another question for Johnny. I have served Terps that have gotten out, and actually this, you can't see it here, but this tea, I have a set of bowls that he gave me that I drink my daily tea out of every day. But he felt that and showed me evidence that even in America, he got targeted by some people. And my question is, it wasn't anywhere near at the level of, being in country, but do you feel totally safe in America? And what is the realistic level of threat now that you're here, you're talking about your story, you're identifying as a Terp in a kind of public setting? How do we need to protect you? And what do we need to understand about the level of threat, even for people who come across to America and establish their lives here?
So thank you for this question. I think, you hear me? You guys hear me? Oh, okay. So pretty much I'm living my dream every second, and it's pretty much safe. But I'm not going to be idiot. I'm not going to go to Somalian neighborhood at the mosque. Hey, I killed your cousin. I'm Johnny Walker. I did this and that. Or some places, you know what I mean? But I'm so proud for what I did in this country, and I can go anywhere without feeling there is something jeopardize our life. And this is because of our law enforcement. They are not corrupt. Yeah, there is some cases they killed by mistake, some maniac, some sick guy, police do some mistake, but 90% of the police, they are here to protect us. So I'm safe, thanks for our law enforcement, and living my dream every second, every time, and especially I'm a grandpa. I have different meaning of life now, so.
That's great. I had this.
Hey, Sarah.
Oh, go ahead.
Hey, Sarah. Scott Duncan here. I came in later. I got sidetracked on a few things that popped up, so I didn't get in until about 12 minutes ago. Sorry, I was really wanting to be in and capture this whole call here, but I did have a question, and forgive me if you guys have already addressed this. So my question is, stereotyping in people's perceptions. We've seen in Iraq and also in Afghanistan where you're training folks or you're side by side with someone from that country's military or police force. And then they turn around and they're the ones that, have the suicide bombing, or they, kill a few folks before they turn the weapon on themselves. How much of that have you guys had to contend with when you're talking about bringing back interpreters that have served with us? Has that been a concern with people that you're dealing with? I'm not saying it is for me, but I'm saying that could be a reality out there, because there are folks who trusted that the people you're working with are going to have your back. And then obviously it doesn't happen and folks don't come back. So is that anything that you're dealing with, or are you guys having to talk through that issue? I'm curious.
Yeah, with like Johnny's case, and if it was, and even if it wasn't just Johnny, all the other ones, other guys that we worked with who were not U.S. citizens, because there's a few. I did not work with any, but other groups did. They were so shoulder to shoulder fighting, throughout the course of those deployments, and then the interpreters were there for the next group too. So they were like on a perpetual deployment. There was such a close bond. I mean, it was the exact same bond that the team guy next to me has after a heavy deployment. And so that vetting process for us took place every night. We were on target and watching Johnny's actions, or any other interpreter's actions. So I think there was such a familiarity there that, I mean, their experiences that, and a bond that with Johnny and the other SEALs that were there and the other interpreters that were there, that is in some ways closer than it is with my family. Because it's, when you go through when you're shoulder to shoulder with people in dangerous or incredibly challenging or just miserable experiences, you develop a bond that, to me transcends any religion or political views or whatever else. And so we had that vetting process. I mean, Johnny essentially was working shoulder to shoulder with us for 6 years straight, 6 years, like nonstop for 6 years. And so there wasn't a concern. And I think a lot of and I think that like the military guys back here who are trying to help those interpreters, they had similar experience. It's not but I think that concern is what slows the process down. And it's hard to, how do you like give metrics on, I did this many operations with the guy in this many gunfights and he saved my life and he drugged this guy out of a burning Humvee and this guy was shot and he was the first one there to put a tourniquet on. How do you make that a metric that fits on a document or a vetting process for the government? It's kind of a, it's not quantifiable in terms of and so that's where I think the delay happens.
Right. Yeah. And, again, I wasn't here for the first part. And, I don't doubt your sincerity. I don't doubt the stories. I served as a Marine in combat in Iraq. I understand, those bonds that develop. I guess my question was, maybe I didn't phrase it the right way. How much do you get pushback on what I was asking? Hey, are these guys trustworthy? I know because you lived the experience, but you're trying to convince other folks, and as well as I do, a lot of folks, they don't really have a clue. They believe what they see on their phone. So how much critical thought and experience goes into the vetting process, I have no doubt that it's wired and that it's good. But from a marketing standpoint, from a presentation standpoint to convince, how much of the pushback is from what I had asked? Folks, hey, can we trust these people?
I think it did. Well, I think they put the things they put in place is to make sure is to try to do vetting. So. And I think that's what caused a lot of the delays. I mean, like one of the things with Johnny that caused some delays were spelling his name a couple different ways, like his last name, you could phonetically spell it 4 or 5 different ways. And that happens sometimes with one group wrote it this way. And then 6 months later, the next SEAL team wrote it another way. And that raised a red flag. Like, what's this guy trying to pull? We didn't even, like Johnny's birth date, we couldn't figure out for a while. And, stuff like that. And that raises red flags. So now they're looking at like, is this really on the up and up? And so they do due diligence with that. And I think the making sure on the bureaucracy side that they weren't letting something slip through the cracks and they're kind of doing a background check on the name and did take place, and it did slow things down to a point. One thing that really helped us was getting letters of recommendation from scores of people, from admirals and generals to every military unit that interacted with Johnny in some way, from like the 101st Cavalry to every SF group and ODA team that came through, to our own admiral, to every lieutenant commander, task unit commander on the ground in Iraq for the SEAL teams, signed a letter of support. So the package is like that thick with for vetting. That is unique, I think. That doesn't happen with all these cases, but that was part of the vetting process. But they did scrutinize it pretty hard to make sure that there's nothing shady. But but then they don't apply the same kind of standards for, I mean, look at the crisis at the border. I mean, that's why we're, in our mind, why we're going to try to smuggle them in was like, well, look, I mean, it's kind of, you're not doing much due diligence down there, but, I got hundreds of military people, all sworn oaths saying this guy needs to get out of Iraq and he needs to come here because he's one of us. And it took forever to make it happen. And we couldn't get him in a waiting period, holding, well, let's vet him out and keep him here in the States. No, I mean, he was on his own, fending for himself in Iraq, waiting for this process. And it's just, the common sense aspect of it, if you would, like when I would dwell on it, going through it, it would send me, I'd have to unscrew myself from the ceiling because it'd get me so frustrated and mad. It's like, what, my word's not good enough? I mean, you just sent me and all my teammates into harm's way. And we went toe to toe with Al-Qaeda for 6 months straight. And my word's not good enough that this guy belongs here. That was infuriating to me. But they're thorough in the process, that's for sure.
Well, God bless you guys for what you're doing. Who knows you best other than your family, right? And that's what you guys are. You even said that. You guys are brothers and family, and I'll put some prayers out there for you guys, and I'd like to connect if I can help in any way. I'd be more than happy to do that.
Scott, I have answer for you, and it's kind of a question, and at the same time is answer. So the answer of your questions can come to question, so we can reach to the facts and agree about it. So what do you think? We can bring interpreter, people who's work with American forces, or bring random people, they live in foreign country? What do you think, Scott? What do you think is better?
I think what you think. I think it's, a second ago.
I cannot hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
You're on mute.
I'm off mute. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
How about
Can
Scott, I
nobody
think you're on mute,
else?
or something's
Okay.
going on audio.
Yeah, I'm off mute. Can you hear me now?
I hear you just fine. I don't know.
Okay.
That was my fault.
Oh,
Okay. Well, so the answer to the question is, I agree with what you're implying. And I think Jason was talking about common sense. It like hits you over the head like a mallet, because it is so common sense. Why would you want to randomly bring people in or not have a process on the border to make sure that, the right folks are coming in? These folks have already shown that they're the right folks. So, to me, it's obvious. I hope I didn't come across like
No.
guy that's saying I don't trust you guys. I
No,
was
brother,
asking
it's a
the
free
question about
conversation.
how much of that is a barrier to what's being accomplished. I would imagine.
What I think was even more, the process itself was, to get the family here was crazy. What was even, I think even, and John Shattuck can definitely testify to it, the citizenship process then was even, it was equally as agonizing. It took, what was it, 11 years? No, 10 years from to get Johnny officially sworn in as a U.S. citizen, which it was, and that process in and of itself, we had to tap into the network again. And John Shattuck on the call here, man, he did so much work behind the scenes to make that happen for the citizenship piece. It was crazy. And and that was just even more frustration. So from 2006 to 2019, 13 years and some change to get somebody who, and their family who's undisputably, his lives were completely in danger because they helped us and prove themselves time and time and time again to their value to the country, and that their values were aligned with American values. Taking that long to get them a citizenship and all the effort it took for just 6 people to get sworn in was just, it needs to be relooked at, I guess it would be. And it's not one size fits all. And it was just oh man, the process. I mean, that day it was actually the anniversary of the day I graduated Buds, when Johnny got rose his hand and took his citizenship oath. And what an amazing event. If you've never been there, there's 80 something different countries represented, and they all raise their hand, become an American. Every single American citizen should witness that event at some point. You know, you go down to the courthouse and watch it. It is the most moving ceremony you'll ever see. You know, if you have any shred of patriotism in you, it's really cool.
So let me answer you, Scott, my point. And you cross no line, nothing. We just talk as family, you know. But I just want to express my opinion in different corner and direction, so you guys can get better understanding of from my corner. So my point is, compare interpreter and people work with American forces or foreign people. They have no idea what they did back in scenes. And my reason why I said that, I'm immigrant. I'm not against immigrant, but I am against illegal people. They came with no database about them. Let me give you example. Syrian people, amazing people. I love them to death. But people, they are under pressure of the war since 2011 until now. Innocent family, they do nothing hard to harm anyone, but they have PTSD, the worst PTSD ever. So when they came here to United States, without camp, without database, without right to treatment, what do you think the kids they could grow up with? This is one thing we need to think about it. The immigrant policy need to reconsidering the situation of countries. And for my case, like Tuschen mentioned, for my citizenship, and thanks for John Sharika, he's the one who's make it happen, because I expressed my political opinion. I'm Republican, proud Republican, and they took it hard left, hard right, the Obama administration. So anyway, but let me tell you something, when we have fucked up system, what is that can be covered, the lag. So as you can see, I can smile now, I have teeth, right? So in 2007, I have Humvee accident, broken shoulder, broken teeth, broken ribs, other bullshit things. And when I came to the United States, they don't consider me an MVA, so I have no benefit. And I have to follow the same procedure, who is one immigrant from his country, have an amazing life, doing nothing. I have to follow the same process to get my citizenship and my benefit, same like him, which is fine with me. I don't complain about it. I live in my dream country, you know. But for the VA, I have no benefit, no teeth. This is like, you and everyone agree, this is bullshit, because it happened 2007 in Humvee during the mission, not during my implication. So we have lack in our system, right? But this gap covered by American people. When they saw that, it's like, what the fuck, what are you talking about? We will cover that. We will pay everything for you. John and Tuschen, you know the story. So no matter what, if we have fucked up system, we as the people, we cover that gap because we care. And
Hey,
well,
John.
I wish me and Tuschen will answer your question, Scott.
Hey, I want to jump in real quick before I have to go. I have to get to a doctor's appointment, but I just wanted to stand back and listen to this whole story, because usually I'm involved in it and I never get to sit back and listen to this. But I will tell you, I'm one of the folks that are still on the call to know kind of where things are at in the process of other Terps and citizenship. Obviously, we have a very broken system. We have to work with that broken system. We have to push every place we can to get things moving forward. We don't want to lose our momentum. We don't want to make it political necessary. And you know, Johnny, I'm very political in some regards, but there's a place and a time for that. With that said, there's an ugly time right now with a lot of these Terps in Afghanistan, and we're working behind the scenes to bring several of these folks in. We don't know if it's going to be too late or not, but the current administration has now put a, I'm not going to say they put a pause on things, but they've certainly said there's going to be an 180-day review of the process. Now, I don't know if anything's going to come out of that good, but I will tell you that there's still a lot of these folks out there. Whoop, did I lose you? Okay. There's a lot of cases that are in process that we're hoping to have some resolution in the next couple of weeks with, but it is still a very broken system. And I'm glad Tusch touched on our current border crisis because it does relate. And that's the narrative we have to talk to the American public and as constituents to our political parties to explain, what do you really want? We have a process. People like yourself are going through the process. You didn't get a head of line privilege by any stretch. When I first met you, you never really even discussed your citizenship. You were more concerned about other people. And, you know, what we need to do is keep moving this forward. It's still a very broken system. We're still working behind the scenes, but unfortunately, you know, because we worked close with the last administration, we've had to be very careful because we don't want to be labeled as partisan when obviously what I care about, and you know me, Tusch knows me now, and you know, we don't care what political party come from, what race you are, what religion you are. You know, what's right is right, and if there's something wrong being done in the world, you need to get involved, and that's what we're hoping to do. So I'll be happy to connect with anybody on this call that wants to help with some of the efforts. We do have some momentum moving forward on some other Terps. I just fear it's going to be too late for some.
John, thank you. I just want to let everybody know John Shattuck works tirelessly on behalf of so many different situations. So John, thank you so much for being on the call. I really appreciate it. And hopefully we can get you back as the storyteller at some point, but I won't put you on the spot now, but I'll be in touch.
Well, listen, I have to go to get a COVID test, believe it or not. I've been sick for 2 weeks. So, you know, here we are. So,
John Shattuck, do you mind if I actually did, I was listening. I just said, turn off the video. Can I ask you a quick hypothetical question? Since this is public, Sarah, are you still recording by chance?
I am. I can cut it off. Would this be a good time to cut it off?
Yeah, I have a quick question. Is it okay?
And so the whole thing was very emotional. Listening to story when Dr. Springer asked a question about safety, and Johnny Walker's initial response was, "Well, the cops make it safe for me." And to hear somebody actually say that in this day and age, holy cow, is that heartwarming to me. And coming from my background, and it's just not something you hear. And to hear his appreciation for that is just so heartwarming. And I just wish that people that were born here and they're privileged to live here and grow up here had that same response. And it just, so Johnny, thank you for even saying that. It means so much to so many people on this call and beyond. And the other thing that I wanted to kind of touch on with the conversation we were just having is my family are immigrants as well. My family immigrated here from Germany in the 30s. My grandparents were on one side of the family survivors of the Holocaust, and on the other side victims of it. So your story and your background, Johnny, resonates very well with me with the struggle to survive within one's own country. And it really hits in a place that's close to home. And my grandparents that survived and came here, they came here with because of sponsors that didn't know them. People that literally just raised their hand and said, "Yeah, I got those people's backs, send them to me." And so my grandparents, and I'm alive today because of it, made it here because of that generosity. And how does someone like me then continue to pay it forward to the next person to bring someone like you from that environment and to say, you know, I got your back and I'll sponsor you? How does that, do we have that availability here in this country? And is that something that you guys are working on? Like, how do we make that work?
Okay, I'm gonna start your question with Casco. Everyone know Casco, right? You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You talking about John McCaskill?
You guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, so when I came here to the United States, you know, we are not rich family. We poor, broken family, but we are proud. And I remember the team guy, every one of them, he did his part. Johnny Heil, our partner and brother, he took my wife to Casco, and she bought stuff from Casco for $1,000. Until now, we have some stuff we don't know for what we use it for. Another one, JT, he brought car, Honda Accord 1991, from East Coast Washington, all over to San Diego. He took it to maintenance. He paid for the maintenance more than brand new car. Jason Tuschen, I don't know about the CACs. When you watch movies, specific movies, you have to pay money. I have bill every few months for $500, $700, $600. He look at it like, holy fuck, freedom's gonna cost me a lot. Chris Good, he came to my house and he paid the electricity bills. So basically, I'm so fortunate to have those people around me, this family. I learned a lot from them, and I cannot pay them back enough for whatever I did. And we will go back to the same question: the war, if the war is worth it. After I look at everything, yes, it's worth it, because from bad things, always there is good things coming. I'm not to brag about myself, I'm good or bad, but about the beauty of the story we're talking about it today, David. And I don't know if you hear me at the beginning, I told you my daughter, she's married in New Jersey. So
Where in New Jersey?
maybe I will need your help to kick her husband.
I'm in Jersey
Hopefully
too. So,
not.
hey,
So I told him,
you
me
got a
and
cop and a
when he
Marine
gets
in New
married to my
Jersey.
daughter, he's white guy.
And me and
You gotta-
John got.
And I told him, hey,
Address, we'll protect her.
listen to
Oh
me.
yeah, we got
Only
we got
one
her
thing
back.
I'm gonna tell you: don't hurt my child, because if you hurt my child, I don't care about what you believe. I respect it, but I don't care. What do you believe? What's your religion? What's your skin color? But if you hurt my child, I will find you. And when I find you, I promise you, I'm not gonna let you be happy rest of your life.
But just give me and David the where she lives in New Jersey, and trust me, nobody will hurt her.
Okay, done deal.
And if they do, we'll take care of it before you even make it to New Jersey.
Well, I just put my contact info in the chat, so you can send me the info if you want. We got her back.
Well, listen,
Yeah,
I'm
we
gonna
Roger.
got her back dirty Jersey style.
I'm going to go ahead and cut off the recording right now. I mean, we can stay on and exchange information or whatever, and I will do any connecting that anybody needs me to do. That's great. But again, Johnny and Tusch, if there is anything I can do, and I think others feel the same way, if we can do anything to help push your story forward, if we can help create platforms to get this heard, please let me know. I know this is not the end for our collaboration. I'm confident of that. And I'm looking forward to having this move forward. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a ton for the opportunity to talk. The story was always like, it's always been a very important story, but just the last couple of years and the venom within, like, I mean, just even inter-family stuff, like I think about, how families are at odds, and they, you don't talk to siblings anymore who you spent your life with over silly views, or a disagreement on the direction of the country or on COVID or whatever other excuse we find to hate each other. And it's as a veteran, where you felt like, I think the military is a good example of pure meritocracy where, your demographic or who, your character is what matters, and how well you perform is what matters. And all the other identifiers, I guess, are just that, and they don't mean anything. But we've completely flipped that on its head. I mean, it goes against the very foundation of the country, or what the intent was. In execution, we might have failed a bit. Some pretty egregious mistakes like the 3/5 compromise and slavery. And yes, those are bad things. I mean, they're horrible things. But the premise, what we should be striving to work for, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and in the golden rule, treat everybody the way you want to be treated. We've just ignored that. And to me as a vet, you try to live your life by those principles that embedded in the Declaration and the Constitution, and then seeing what a real meritocracy and valuing people's character and values more than anything. It's really disheartening in this day and age. I mean, it takes a lot not to stoop to that level and fight back like that. So to me, this story happens to be an antidote to some of the horrific BS I see going out there. So any opportunity to tell it becomes a top priority, because it's disheartening going, man, did I just waste 27 years of my life for what, something I believed in, to watch, young kids and, or others just kind of ignore they don't appreciate what is out there, and they just want to be victims or be hateful, as opposed to, hey man, make your small part of the world better, make your neighborhood better, make the people around you better. And it, time will tell, but I think, okay, I'm not going to give up on my beliefs. And I think this story, like I said, is an antidote to the toxicity out there right now. And so the more we can get it out there, I think, if it changes a few opinions, great, because that's just two less people who are hateful of others and closed-minded. There's no place for that if you want to have a vibrant society. So,
Yeah.
Jason, would you consider doing a child-friendly version of your story to bring into the schools?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think that's an important piece. I have a 14-year-old, an 11-year-old, and 7-year-old. The 14-year-old talks about this kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And the stuff they're learning is counterproductive to what we're talking about right now. And I think hearing a story like this kind of brings the last 20 years post 9/11 world to a little bit more reality for them. And they're hearing it in their homes, but not in a way that's touchable.
Sure.
And I think if you guys were able to get into this school system, would be just priceless.
Yeah, no problem. I dropped my email in there, and then Sarah has it as well. And
Sarah, Henry Laird writes children books, and I happen to know a Marine. He's famous in New York City. They call him Marine Joe. He was in 9/11. He wrote a children's book about the Marine Corps. So I know two people that do children's books. One is in Angels 14. You know Tammy Laird. She writes children's books, so that might be a good connect.
Yeah.
And I agree with David 100%. Like it's true what you just said, Jason. Like and Johnny, that story, like that. My kids behind, like, if they go in the military, if they go to the Marine Corps, they're 6th generation United States Marine or Department of the Navy. So that's no Army, no Air Force, Navy all the way since the Revolutionary War. But my point being is they're spoiled little shits. They don't realize, like I said, when Johnny mentioned like going for a walk with my son, every time, I try to instill with them, I have an American flag everywhere, and if my kid sees an American flag on the ground, he'll drop everything and pick it up. But it's still, they're spoiled little brats. They don't realize, they just know that because I make them do it, right? Because daddy told them that doesn't touch the ground. right? But they don't truly understand what hardships, because it's different when it comes from daddy, than if it were to come from you, a story like what you just told. And if there was a children's version of that, like 9/11, they come home and they say it's Patriot Day. And it's like a positive day. And my wife and I both were on ground 11, and we tell them the truth. We're like, no, mommy and daddy almost died because Islamic terrorists flew a plane through my office building and almost her dorm room. Like, we don't lie to them. So, but like David said, the rest of the American school system is being lied to on a daily basis. This is a very good way. I agree 100%. If there's some way you could get this into the schools and to kids like 12 and under, I think it would be a beautiful thing, and a great service to our country.
Great.
Yeah, I'll definitely connect you. And Tush, I love how you said that this story is the antidote. And that's what I think too. I just love you saying the word, because that's it. It's this type of story is the antidote. I hear SEALs. It's interesting. I hear SEALs a lot talk about that the division is the most heartbreaking thing for people when they fought for this country. And so I'd love to help push that idea out too. Did you want to add anything more, Tush or Johnny, to end this segment?
I think it's just nice, hearing everybody talk and just, everybody. I mean, everybody on this call is trying to make the world a better place in their own way, and that's all I can ask for. I mean, instead of, you're taking action, you're doing things. I mean, this is a day and age of a lot of talk and lip service, and it's nice and humbling to be around a group, in front of here, a group of people who aren't looking for accolades or anything else. You're out here, just trying to make things better for people, and that's huge. I mean, that's so my hat's off to you and thank you, and and getting the opportunity to tell the story. I mean, I guess next to the birth of my kids, and getting married, my wife, and managed to make that marriage work for as long as we have, getting Johnny to the States, if I died tomorrow, I'm totally good with my life because they're here, and then seeing them as citizenships, and then, man, like, the granddaughter, like, holy crap, that's like, that was just cool.
The American dream.
It is the American dream. And, so being able to tell that is cool. But like I said, everybody here working and doing their small part to make things better is so important. And I'll just leave it at that. My thanks to all of you and those who had to drop, but or watching on the recording. I mean, it's just, this is how we make a change. And, and I think for, from a veteran's perspective, that's what validates, people like you validate the blood, sweat, and tears and validates it for my family who, I liked it. I had fun. I didn't, it was, I was content doing it, but, my wife and kids had to pay the price for it while I was gone, gallivanting around the world. And it validates that their sacrifice. It validates the time I invested into it, and everybody else who's a vet or a first responder. And so thank you for doing that. It's important because, it's when people say, oh, thank you for your service. Cool. That's great. But, like, I want to see actions, thank me for my service by making the world better. Whatever your cause is, I don't care, but if it's sincere and it's, and you're helping those who need the help, is what's really important. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Tush. Sorry. Johnny, did you want to say something?
Yeah. So everything will start with a dream, and next step, word, third step, action. So thank you guys so much for separate our dream. by talking about it, which is word. And right now we need to do the action. Not about my story, not about Tushen's story, is about American dream. How we can start unite the people. Thank you so much, each one of you. It's a big honor to be with you guys, and I have long ass trip to Sacramento, 8 hours drive. And thank you, Sarah.